Good afternoon and welcome to the Rivian video. Everybody's been waiting for this one for a long time, so let's dive right into it. About a year ago, in September of 2023, we bought a Rivian R1S. And if you guys are not familiar with the Rivian, it is a fully electric vehicle. It comes in two different styles, the R1S and the R1T. The R1S is the SUV and the R1T is the truck. We decided to go with the R1S. And a lot of people were wondering, Tim, why did you pick Rivian? And the reason that I picked it was because it is the largest one that I had found so far, the largest full electric vehicle that I could get. So there is, the Tesla Model X has 3 rows and you can get 3 rows in the Model Y, but those were still kind of like sloped like a bubble. Whereas this one is shaped like a normal SUV. It has the traditional SUV lines. It looks like a normal SUV, has the headroom, has the legroom, has the knee space in the back rows, and it still has the storage of a regular SUV. And so as soon as I saw that, I said, that's the car that I want. So when we first started this process of looking into the Rivian, it was when we were expecting our second child. So when we were expecting Oliver. It took quite a while to get the Rivian, all the way up until he was actually born by the time that we got it. So how did that work? Originally, we put down our deposit. We put down our $1,000 deposit with Rivian and we were waiting. And while we were waiting for our name to be called or for our name to come up on the list to customize a vehicle, we did get an email from Rivian to schedule what they call the first mile, which is a test drive. And so somebody came to our house with an R1S, let me drive it around for a little bit. It was a very short test drive because a lot of it was taken up with like a walk around the car and them kind of explaining some of the different features of the Rivian. But then the actual test drive itself kind of like went out and around the block a little bit. We went up to the next exit on the interstate and then came back. And they let me put the car seats in too. So it really convinced me that I wanted that vehicle because I got to get in it and drive it and feel it. Very fun to drive. And that's one of the things that convinced me. The size of it, the storage, and how fun it is to drive convinced me that this is a car that I wanted. And we were waiting and we were waiting and we were waiting. It had been about a year since we put down our deposit and we still had no updates as to what was happening. We saw other people were getting theirs like delivered and being able to pick theirs out and do all that stuff. And we just weren't getting any information as to what was happening, like where we were on the list or anything like that. So I tried reaching out to as many people as I could. I even tried to reach out and see if I could get some of the cars that people didn't claim, like unclaimed cars. So what was happening with Rivian, and this probably happens with other car manufacturers too, but people were ordering the car, doing the full customization, and then changing their mind. And so Rivian would make those cars, have them delivered to their dealership, and then the people would be like, I don't want it, I'll just take my deposit back. And so they were pretty much at that point abandoned cars, for a lack of a better word. They were at the dealership, they didn't have an owner, they didn't have anybody that was coming to claim them. The people that had built them were saying like, I don't want this car anymore. For whatever reason, I don't know why they would do that, but that's what people were doing. And so I was trying to email and call and message and everything that I could to try to see if I could find one of those cars. Like say, hey, I'm willing to pay for this car. I'm like ready. I'll have some leeway with some of like the features that I want. And I couldn't get through to that. So around September, I decided that maybe I should like look around, see if anybody's taken delivery of them and maybe wanted to sell them, because I know that that was a thing that was starting to happen with Rivians because they were so hard to get. People were ordering them, taking delivery of them, and then selling them immediately because the people that were in the original group of people that ordered the Rivian, like some of the early adopters, got them for a lower price than what they were selling for when we bought ours. And so that's what happened with the one that we found. I went on Facebook Marketplace and I found one down in West Palm Beach. And I messaged the guy, I said, hey, this isn't the exact setup that I wanted. The setup that I wanted was a red color, a canyon red color, with the more aerodynamic wheels, smaller wheels like road tires, and then black interior, black on black interior. And so I messaged the guy and I was like, hey, this isn't really the setup that I wanted. Would you be willing to, because he was asking for the current retail price with these upgrades that he had on it. and I said, would you be willing to come down to the retail price that I was going to pay for the options that I wanted? And he's like, yeah, I can do that. And so we drove down to West Palm Beach to have a look at it. So when we got down there, it was a really good looking car. It only had 100 miles on it. All that he did was take delivery from the dealership to his house, and then it parked in the garage because he knew that he was going to turn around and sell it. It was forest green. It had 22-inch Sport Bright wheels. It had the Ocean Coast interior, which is like a white interior, and then it had the dark ash wood dashboard. And so the things that were a little bit different from what we had originally wanted, number one, we didn't mind the green, but were really hoping for the red. The wheels were different. We didn't want that big of wheel. We wanted just like a normal size wheel on it. And then the interior, we didn't really want the white interior. We wanted black on black. But as it turns out, now that we've had it for a little while, really like the white interior. I like it a lot. So far, the only issue that I've found with it is that I wear a black belt when I'm driving, or anytime I wear a black belt. It's starting to get a little black line down where my belt goes, or where my belt sits while I'm driving. I haven't tried to use a magic eraser on it yet, but I really feel like after having felt the material that the seats are made out of, I think that a magic eraser will take that black line out of there. So the good news was it was a large pack battery, which is what we wanted to try to get the most mileage out of it as we could. Unfortunately, with the 22-inch Sport Bright wheels, that does take the overall mileage down a little bit because you lose some aerodynamics, and with the size of the wheel, it's just a heavier wheel. So our total range on economy mode is 321 miles. Still fantastic. Could have been a little bit more with the just normal, regular old road tires, but I'm very happy with 321 miles. It gets me everywhere that I need to go, and then some. And with him coming down to the price that we were asking, we ended up getting some of these options for free. Like the Sport Bright wheels were an upcharge that we got for free. The white interior was an upcharge that we got for free. So I felt really good about the price that we paid for it. And especially with it only having 100 miles, and he was the first owner, and he just drove it home from the dealership. He just took delivery of it, and then it stayed in his garage until we bought it. I think we got a pretty good deal on it. Another thing to note is the yellow accents. Of course, behind the side emblems, this is called the compass. And then behind the badge here on the side, you can see there is a yellow outline, and of course our yellow calipers. That signifies quad motor. So if you ever see a Rivian with yellow accents like this, that is quad motor, meaning a motor at each wheel. If you ever see one with black accents, that is the dual motor version. Just going around and showing off a few things. The door handles do automatically pop out when it is unlocked, and they will fold flat when it's locked and when we're driving. We have little accents on the mirrors that light up on the ground. You guys can't see it because it's during the day right now, but there are splash lights on the ground that show the Rivian symbol. Let's just kind of go around, have a look. I really like the front of it. The grille and everything, the lights is very cool. There's a little button here on the front, kind of hidden underneath right about here, that will open up the front trunk for us. I have a scooter in here. I have Jackson's scooter in there, but pretty good amount of space in the front here. And then if you open this up, there's even more space underneath. It did come with a charging cable with all of the adapters for it. There's also a little mesh bag that kind of sits in the front up here. This is where you fill up your windshield washer fluid, and there is of course an escape button just in case here in the front. Then I like the details of the compass symbol on the underside of the hood. If you push that same button again, it will close automatically for you. Some tow hooks in the front because this is what they would consider an off-road vehicle. Another thing I wanted to mention is that the car is set to its highest ride height, meaning that it is in off-road mode. It does have the ability to lower down almost all the way so that it's sitting on top of the tires. Just a little bit of clearance for you to get out. It's called kneel mode. Anytime you put it into park, it will kneel all the way down to make it easier to get in and out of. And then as we go around the back, I can show you guys the trunk area. So same thing on the back here. I really like the Rivian badge on the back. I've seen people do aftermarket where they put this across the front. There's a little button just underneath the V of Rivian that allows it to open up automatically. And this is the trunk space. There is also another button here that you push to lower down the tailgate. This is one of the aftermarket things that we have added, is this liner here. This is called a smart liner. This actually works out really great. A few other things to note in the back here. There is some 120 volt outlets that can be covered up These are buttons to lower down the second row. And there's also an air compressor in here. So if you have a flat tire or something, you can use this as an air compressor. There are tie downs here for you to tie down any sort of cargo you have. And then if I lift up this, underneath here you can see there is another little handle that leads to some more storage down here. And then even more so, underneath this tray is some more storage, which is where you could buy an aftermarket spare tire. Rivian does sell spare tires that can fit down in there. It just doesn't come with a spare tire. So you can see there is a lot of storage down there though. Another little feature of note of this particular piece of cargo area, you can lower this down to a second level here to create a little bit more of a flat area for your luggage, or you can raise it up here so that it is a nice gentle slope, because I do have that third row lowered down right now. So it's a gentle slope to the third row right there. Something else that I wanted to mention is there are these little areas here for you to add a cargo cover if you wanted to. They have the spots for it. There's also a subwoofer back here. That's what that is. Speaking of the third row, I'm gonna try to climb in here and show you guys the third row up, so you guys can get an idea of the storage with the third row up. So now you can see there's still a pretty significant amount of storage even with the third row up in the back. We like it down because it's even more storage, and we don't currently use the third row. We have used it before going on a trip and it worked out really great for us. But yeah, there it is. This is the third row raised up. And I'll go in the back seat so you guys can see what it looks like from the other way, how much space there is for somebody to sit back there. Actually, what I'll do is I'll lower this down so you guys can see. Now, if we go inside, you can see not a ton of leg room back there. The middle row can be moved forward so that you can get more leg room in there. But when we went on a trip, we just moved Jackson's seat back here, and it worked out great for him because he liked having his own little area back here. Another thing to mention is that there is some storage here with a USB-C charging point right there too as well, and then a cup holder for the third row on either side. Both sides are the same. While we're back here, something else that I wanted to point out is these vents right here are for recirculating air-conditioned air. So cool air, like air conditioned specifically, air-conditioned air comes out of the front vents and the middle vents. These are just bringing the cold air from the rest of the car back here. They're not blowing through the air conditioning unit. The air does come out cold, but not as cold as the front seat and the middle seat. I've been back here when I was camping and I had these vents on and it was totally fine. Like, it was the same, it felt the same, but just like technically speaking, it's not air conditioned air, it's just a fan. So now we'll move into the back seat so that you guys can see. Of course, these seats can move along the track. You can see the track down there, and they can recline and recline and be more upright. We have it specifically set up for Jackson's seat and for Oliver's seat there. You can see there's a significant amount of room in this row for the kids to sit and for an adult to sit. Like, if an adult was sitting here, plenty of room right there. There's some little storage back here in the back of the seat, as well as a spot to hang a tablet and a USB-C plug up here. And then there's more USB-C plugs down here underneath this display. You can see the air conditioner just turned on. There are some controls back here for the radio and for the seat warmers in the back seat, as well as the air conditioning in the back seat. Lock and unlock the car, turn on the lights, use Bluetooth and things like that back in the back. Turn on the outlets, because there is another 110 outlet. Kind of hard to see. See if I can show it to you. There it is down there underneath the console. And then as we get a little bit further out, you can see we did add some all-weather floor mats down here, just to collect dirt. As you can see, they are dirty right now. That's just another little thing that we did as far as adding aftermarket parts to the car. And then the other seat is the same. There is a center armrest here with some cup holders in it right there for the back seat, but we don't use this because the kids aren't into cup holders yet. Another thing I did want to mention is that both this row and the back row are a 60-40 split. So when you're moving this seat forward and backwards, these two sections move forward on the back. But when you're moving this seat forward, just this small section does, but you can just lower down the center here. So this is totally separate from the other two. So you can have like almost like a channel through the center to like maybe haul long things, like some wood or something like that. Moving into the front seat now, this is where the majority of the extras is for the car. So you can see fully electric seats with lumbar support, and these different seat positions can be saved to different profiles. I really like the design here where it says Rivian in the back of the seat, and then I like that they put Rivian in there, and then there's another little thing here that says Adventurous Forever. And then they like to put this little, the compass symbol kind of everywhere. It's kind of all over the car in different spots on the speaker here. There's also some map pockets in the front. These all fold out so you can get in there a little bit easier. There's some more storage underneath the seat here. A little storage here. I've got a charging adapter there to charge, like to adapt between Tesla chargers. We have some cup holders here in the center that we use, but also aftermarket, I added this little tray down here that has a couple of extra cup holders and a couple of other little storage spots there. So when I close this up, we still have cup holders down there. This is a wireless charging mat. We found that it doesn't work really well, so we don't ever use it. They do sell aftermarket ones that fit in here perfectly and leave this space open for storage as well. We just haven't done it yet because we don't use the wireless charging. You can see we have USB-Cs sitting right here because inside of the center console here, there are 2 more USB-Cs. This was another aftermarket thing that we got, was this tray that kind of brings up the center console, because as you can see, the center console is kind of just a big cavernous hole with some USB-Cs down in there. And we just decided it would be easier to do if we raised it up a little bit. And so that's why we have this extra tray in here. And it has the cutouts for the channels for the wires to come out, and there's a hole so you can see it goes down inside of there, and then this closes up just fine. Some of the things that we're seeing, like you can see there are some marks here on the white. I wish that those didn't happen. I haven't tried to use like a magic eraser or anything on them, but they are there. And then if you look down low here, it's kind of hard to see. I noticed it the other day, but I wear a black belt and it's starting to kind of rub down there on the bottom. And you'll notice that these are perforated seats because these are ventilated seats and heated seats in the front. So they're not cooled seats. They might call them cooled seats, but it is just a fan that blows. It like doesn't go through the air conditioner. I did take out that aftermarket tray that I was showing you guys to show you that there is, like, this is a mat that can be removed and cleaned, but also the Rivians do have a couple of like fun little hidden surprises. One of them being this right here. This is what they call the camp speaker. This is a large and it sounds fantastic, Bluetooth speaker that you can take with you, and it'll charge right inside this little cubby here. Aftermarket things they do, if you take this out, they sell little drawers that'll fit inside there, but I've just kept the speaker in there because I like the idea of it. So, and you can bring it out and take it with you, maybe on the beach or going out camping or something like that. It's a nice little hidden feature that the Rivian has. And then you can see down here, it says Rivian down there, almost where nobody would see it. So I came around to the driver's side to show you the other little hidden feature that Rivian has. And it's right here inside of the driver's side door. If you poke right here, this is a Rivian branded flashlight. That's fantastic. It's got 3 different levels of intensity and it charges right here in the door. So a nice little added feature that they have with the Rivian. Let me show you the center console here. So you can see there's a very large display here in the front. It's telling me that I'm in off-road mode here. This is not a touchscreen, but it gives me an overhead view of the car. And then the center console, of course, does everything that you might want. You know, we've got Spotify on here, you've got Alexa, you've got Tidal. This will connect to your phone. There's the radio, there's GPS, there are the controls for the car. You can turn on the defroster for the front and the rear window. And then this is the seat, like either warmer or cooler. The air conditioner can be split up into, you can control the middle or the back. This is what I was telling you. If I turn these on, you can see it's just a fan that's blowing. It's not actually like air conditioned. I don't know, it doesn't really show that as much, but it is. It's just a fan. It's not an air conditioner. You can separate it out depending on the passenger seat versus the driver's seat. And then of course the back can be controlled from the rear screen back in the back. It does have pet comfort mode, so if you wanted to leave your pet in the car while you run it, you can turn on the air conditioner and let it keep running. There's like some quick controls here for you to control various things like folding the windows in. This was a neat feature that would help you out at night or if you're camping. There are lights on the outside of the mirrors. So if I go out, these are turn signal markers, but because they're RGB LEDs, they can be any color. So if I turn on those side markers right now, and then I go back outside, it's illuminating white, and it's a very bright light that illuminates the area around the car. Some of the other modes that the car does have is all-purpose. Conserve will greatly improve the distance that you can go. So like right now, you can see I can go 185 miles. If I turn on Conserve, you'll see it's starting to jump up. What that does is that turns off one set of motors so that I'm only running off the front two motors. You see, I just went up to 206 at 63% battery. And it's really cool because you can see that on this screen. You know, it's got Sport and Snow. Sport, of course, will get you the fastest 0 to 60 time. This car gets a 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. If I swipe over here, this tells me all kinds of fun information. The elevation that I'm currently at, the highest elevation I've been, the lowest elevation I've been, the direction I'm headed, my trip. This is actually my overall mileage on the car is 15,000 miles. The temperatures of the battery, and then the temperatures of the motor, and then on my PSI on the wheels. So a lot of really neat information here. Oh, and also like what direction you're heading, and then it'll tell you how much power each motor is using depending on, you know, which mode you're in. And then you can set your different ride feel and your brake regeneration, your stability, your ride height, and all the other stuff. There's also a trailer mode, which I can't turn on right now, but because nothing's connected, it says no trailer connected. But you can actually save different trailer profiles in order to get the best gas mileage, and the car will learn what trailer it is towing and give you your efficiency and really work on the efficiency of it and improve the more you tow that trailer. A few other things I wanted to note up here. The garage will make it so that I can just push a button over here and it'll open up my garage door. This is Alexa. This is notifications or like things that have gone wrong. I don't have any notifications because nothing's really gone wrong. This is a Wi-Fi hotspot. Bluetooth is on. This is Wi-Fi if I'm connected to Wi-Fi at home, temperature outside, and the LTE of the car. So like the car is connected to LTE wireless so that you can use it as a Wi-Fi hotspot, and it uses it to connect to various different things. Another thing that I think is fantastic about this car is this. So I have an overhead view, and I have the ability to look forward on the camera or backwards on the camera. So we like that. We like that a lot. Oh, sorry, wrong thing. And then, yeah, I think that's everything on this. Oh, and then of course the steering wheel does have all kinds of controls on it to be able to control your different aspects of like the radio, the song, the music, and of course the adaptive cruise control. It's not quite self-driving, but it does have adaptive cruise control, and you can adjust the settings on the steering wheel here. Also, you have another little thing on your turn signal here. You can control your wipers, your lights. This is your front wipers to clean off the windshield. This is your back wipers to turn it on, and then if you hold it, that'll run the washer on the back window. Before, I had it in off-road mode, so it was raised all the way up, and this is it in kneel mode so that it's easier to get in and out of. And you can see now it is much closer to the tires, and it's sitting down lower. And if I back further away, because it reacts to my phone in my pocket, it should lock itself. So I turned off my microphone, so you will hear a lot of ambient noise because I wanted to lock the car. Another interesting thing about the Rivian is that it uses the sounds of nature in it. So if I lock it, you hear that chirping? That is the actual sound of a specific bird. So the lock noise is a specific kind of bird, a thrush, that is called the mountain bluebird. And then if I'm driving, it's the sound of a river. So because it's an electric vehicle, it doesn't make any noise when it's driving other than the sound of the tires moving across pavement or asphalt or whatever it is. So by law, any electric vehicle has to have some sort of external speaker that makes a noise. They took noises from oceans and rivers and like the surrounding areas and wind and made a noise that was like more of like a whoosh.
They require an external sound to let pedestrians know when an R1 is approaching. Our goal was to design an alert that was noticeable but not annoying. To strike this delicate balance, We combined field recordings of water and wind from Mammoth Lakes, Laguna Beach, and the Colorado River. The result is a soothing sonic whir that safely announces the vehicle's presence while also blending into the natural world.
So the Rivian, I can use my phone to unlock it, I can use a key card to unlock it, and then I have a like a key fob that came with it too. And another one of the noises is when I use the key on the door. Is it still connected to my phone? I thought if I turned off Bluetooth, it would not work. Okay, hold on, let me turn off Bluetooth up here too. So I can't actually figure out how to get my phone to not connect to the car so that I can use the key card. So I just have to play you the sound that you get when you use the key card on the door to like start the car is this. And that is some cellos and then some like little smooth pebbles hit together. Some nature sounds. Here's another one, is that when you're using GPS and you have the audio turned on and she's giving you turn-by-turn navigation, or the car's giving you turn-by-turn navigation, it will also alert you when your turn is coming up with this noise, which is kind of like a beep, and then they sound like a altered version of a horned owl screech. But there are just like various, oh, my turn signal. So if I go inside and I put on my turn signal, that is the sound of two pieces of wood specific to a national park knocking together. All right, last thing I wanted to show off was the roof. So we do have two large glass windows in the roof, and you can see them. There's one that covers both the front and the middle row, and there's one that covers the back row and the trunk area. So very, very bright in here, very like open, and like you feel like you're part of nature with this type of thing, with this type of window above you. Does come tinted from the factory, but one of the things that I plan on doing is getting the whole car tinted better, because these side windows that are on either side of me, they're very, very clear. I just came out of the car and I noticed that you could see the splash on the ground. So this is a light that is coming from the rear view mirror and illuminating on the ground that compass symbol again. A couple of other things that I wanted to point out. There is an energy section that lets you like adjust different things about your charging and, you know, turn on the outlets in the car, the accessory outlets. Gives you summaries of your charging sessions. And then also another thing is that there's a phone. Gear guard, of course, is a way of protecting the car. There's drive cam, there are incidents, there's motion cam, which is like if somebody walks by the car, you can have that set up. And then there's an alarm. If the alarm goes off, it starts recording the motion cam. This is our little guy. He's the best. I don't know if he has a name, but this is sort of like Rivian's mascot. There's a camping mode, which I used it when I was camping, and lots of different little things here. Camp courtesy turns off all the exterior lights. You can turn off the displays. You can turn on the outlets. You can turn on your light mirrors. You can level the SUV. If you're sitting on an uneven surface, it will level it so that you can make sure that it's nice and flat when you're camping. And then there's manage energy things where you can turn things off and on depending on if you're like leaving. You can turn everything off, like if you're going somewhere for the day. They also do sell, this is not a tent that you can buy that I know of, but they do sell tents that can go on top, on the roof of the Rivian. We don't have one of those. We just went camping in the back. And then the owner's guide is in here, and then there's different settings that you can do based on whatever you're, you know, fully customizable and fully controllable within here. And that brings me to things that I wish that the car had, and it's kind of silly because with the newer models, with the R2S and the R3X and R3S, they have added these things. They've added my one thing that I wanted, and that was glove boxes. In the newer versions, they have 2 glove boxes. In the one that we have, there is no glove box. There's just the center console and the under seat storage. So I do wish that it had that, and I'm sad that it doesn't, but we've made do without it. Another thing I wanted to mention is we did have one issue with the vehicle. On the passenger side, the word Rivian on the front passenger door had some of the chrome plating on it was kind of peeling off a little bit. All I had to do was go into the app and make a mobile appointment with them, and they did it for free. It was all covered under warranty. A guy came to the house. He did it right there on the spot, replaced the entire badge on the passenger door. No issues there whatsoever. It was super easy to go through and get the mobile service done. Yeah, that was it. That was the only issue we've ever had with the car. Now that we've shown you everything about our car and talked to you about the Rivian, another thing that I wanted to mention is that we also have a Tesla. We have a Tesla Model Y. And I'm sure that a lot of people are like, what do you think? What's better, the Tesla or the Rivian? And in my opinion, I enjoy driving the Rivian better. I just fit into it better. I'm 6'2", 220 pounds. It's more of an upright feel like a truck would be. The steering wheel is bigger on the Rivian, so that is easier for me to feel and to use. When I get into the Tesla, I'm like, oh, this is a little teeny tiny steering wheel. And of course, the space. There is so much more space in the Rivian than there is in the Tesla. The front trunk is bigger, the back storage area is bigger. It is a bigger car. And we get more mileage out of the Rivian than we do, as far as like electric on a full charge, we get more mileage out of the Rivian than we do out of the Tesla Model Y. And that's the Tesla Model Y long range too. So in my opinion, I think the Rivian is better. It's more fun to drive, and it's just my preferred vehicle. If both of them are sitting out in the driveway, I will get in the Rivian every time because it is more my style of driving. Plus the Rivian is also more capable than the Tesla is. Take for instance, it might not happen, but if there's a large puddle, like if there's a huge downpour here in Florida and the puddle, the like water is flooding the road, the Rivian has the ability to raise up. I can raise the ground clearance on it up to be able to go through any sort of puddle. Whereas the Tesla, that's the height that it is. That's just where it sits. I also like the tires better on the Rivian because they're bigger. They have more rubber on the side. So if I happen to hit a curb, it doesn't do any damage to the actual rim itself. Whereas the Tesla, the rim sits out a little bit. If you hit a curb, you're getting some damage to the rim. You're getting the paint and getting it scuffed up. So there you have it. That was our Rivian tour video, our explanation of why we got the Rivian, our thoughts on the Rivian, and yeah, our comparison between the Rivian and the Tesla. I really, really, really like the Rivian, so much so that I want to trade the Tesla in for when they come out with the R3X, which is the next model that Rivian is going to be making. It is a smaller version of the R1. So it's just like a smaller, like almost like the size of a crossover, pretty much comparable to the Tesla Model Y. So I want to trade in the Tesla for the new Rivian. That's my next process, like that's my next step in car ownership. That's what I want to do. I want to have 2 Rivians. So all in all, it was a fantastic day. Thank you guys for joining us for this tour about our Rivian and a video all about owning a Rivian. And with that being said, we are off. We'll see y'all tomorrow. And now it's time to pay the price.